Hello from Lviv. This is Michael Bociurkiw on this March 29th, 2022. But the big headlines, of course, today were the peace talks in Istanbul between the Ukrainian and Russian sides, held at fairly high level, deputy defense minister, presidential advisor level, and they were brokered by Turkish President Erdogan. Uh, Depending on how you interpret things and how you slice and dice things, one gets different interpretations or evaluations out of these. But if you want to take the good news, potentially good news out of it is that the Russians have decided to significantly reduce their firing on the Ukrainian capital Kiev as well as Chernihiv. They did not say it's a complete ceasefire. They said that they're going to be reducing their firing. But I spoke, for example, to a former senior government official today, and he told me, well, it's not that big of a deal because Russian forces aren't even that threatening to Kiev anymore. So there's a number of complex matters in the negotiations in return for Russia ending its so-called denazification of Ukraine, whatever that means. Ukraine will pledge neutrality. It will pledge to not build nuclear weapons. It will pledge to not host foreign troops or bases on its soil. It is allowed to go into the EU. I think there's a lot of gray, fuzzy lines in all of what we're hearing right now. The many media outlets are reporting more progress than one thought. But, and then there's also reports coming out from both sides, I believe, about this opens the way for direct talks between President Putin and President Zelensky, which I find difficult to believe. For President Zelensky, the stakes are enormously high. At one point, he said that there's no way that Ukraine will give up on demanding the return of Crimea, which was illegally annexed in 2014, nor will he give up on getting the Donbass returned, meaning Donetsk, the occupied parts of Donetsk and Luhansk Oblast. And then later on, he said that, maybe Ukrainian forces won't force the Donbass issue, and they will stick to pre-February 2022 lines and regaining the territory that were taken by the Russians. But then again, it's difficult to see the Russians giving up new parts of Donbass that they seized. It's difficult to see them giving up that crucial land corridor that connects Crimea with the Russian mainland. A main point I wanted to make is that, since 2014, there have been several ceasefire agreements which the Russians have not respected or violated soon after they were signed, hardly after the ink dried on the paper they signed. And I remember, I believe it was 2019, when that Normandy format summit, it was December, was held in Paris. I was there. Macron was there, Angela Merkel was there, and then President Zelensky and President Putin were there. An agreement was signed, and again, it was quickly violated afterwards. Of course, we all hope for the best, but even today, as these talks were going on, there were at least 4 air raid siren alarms here in Lviv from last night onwards. So it doesn't bode well for confidence when that sort of thing happens. We continue to keep an eye on Mariupol. The city continues to be in extremely dire conditions. It's difficult for people to evacuate, and there's still over 100,000 people there. And elsewhere, I think it's fair to say that Ukrainians are still keeping kind of a close eye on their action from, their pleas this weekend and until late last week, where, for example, they approached NATO asking for 1% of their military assets. They presented a new list of lethal weaponry to the Americans. Quite substantial list, actually. At the end of the day, diplomatic talks are better than no talks whatsoever. Both sides tend to come away from these sorts of talks claiming that they have the upper hand. But the Russians are very, very good at spinning these types of things, using vague language, buying time so they can regroup, making promises that they have no intention of keeping. So that's where I fall more on that side right now. Anyway, thank you for listening. Don't forget to go to my website. I have a full update of today there on the peace talks, as well as some pretty good news to leave you with about these Ukrainian figure skaters who managed to escape from Kharkiv under bombardment, made their way all the way to France, and managed to participate in a championship with no training, no professional costumes. They were in their training gear, but they received what an applause they received from the audience there. So,
just 6 days ago, we was in Ukraine. I was 6 days ago in Kharkov.
And our family is still in Ukraine, all family.
And we saw what they are doing, how they work, and it's disgusting. That's what is important to be here. We want to say about this.
So this is a completely different kind of competition for you. Tell me about the decision not to wear costumes.
It's just our costumes still in Kharkov at home, so we couldn't take them. So that's why we are wearing the national t-shirt.
And actually, I think it's not the time to wear some shiny costume.
We cannot dance, we cannot be happy every day. So that's why, or we wear black or national t-shirt.
We love to be able to report these kind of positive nuggets whenever we can, and that is definitely one of them. michaelbociurkiw.com/news is where you'll find those updates. Thank you for listening. Stay safe, and goodbye.